welcome to the Shoreham Resources presentation for the AGORACOM online Gold and Commodities Conference. I'm David Benning, President and CEO of the company, and I'll be presenting today. And I'll be answering your questions during this presentation at our scheduled time and afterwards as well. Just post your questions and we'll deal with them when we see them. Before I begin, I would like that you all take the time to review our disclaimer, which you can review at any time by coming back to the second slide. When you look at slide 3, you can see that the company has two portfolios, important holdings in Ontario, north of Red Lake, and a growing and active portfolio in Guyana. And this has created a dilemma for us, but it's also a great opportunity. In Canada, we have selected a portfolio of properties in the favorable lake belt north of Red Lake, all of which have advanced targets, silver, uranium, rare earth elements, gold, and moly. Collectively, about 80,000 meters of drilling over the last 40 years, and 3 targets with estimated historic resources, which are quite meaningful, that will be the basis for our expanding work. In Guyana, we have the option to earn 75% of the Murdy Mountain project, which we believe is our flagship and is a spectacular opportunity. 100% of the Pataro district, 100% of holdings that we call Black Banana, Guyana Shield, and some other properties, including Wana and Mazawaki, which are gold and platinum group metals. Each of these two portfolios attracts different investor constituencies and will be the basis for different financing plans. In Canada, starting with Borland Lake, which was our listing property, we have the option to joint venture with Gold Canyon Resources. At this time, we are vested with 60%, and we will continue to spend. Legally, we have the option to vest at 80% by doing certain things, but we think we will continue to spending money, and we'll see whether they participate. It covers the historic Borland Lake silver target, which has been subject for major exploration programs by Noranda and some of their partners back in the 80s. Some of the discovery holes were quite special. The best of them, the one that we see cited most often, is discovery hole 65-2, which was 391.2 grams silver across 33.3 meters. We mapped it, we studied the rocks, we looked at the structure. We noted that it is folded, it is repeated by folding. Our deep penetrating geophysics, which we'll look at quickly in some of the succeeding slides, shows us that not only do the fold repetitions exist, but they get stronger below the drill pattern. We think this is potentially very important as a silver deposit. It also has gold and base metals that make it an attractive mix, and it's always been our focus in this belt. It was the first property that we started with, and we believe that it'll be the most important thing as we move forward. Slide 6 shows the deep penetrating geophysics, Titan 24 survey. It's important to note on the baseline a small response coming from the area which was historically drilled. And as you study the geophysics, you'll see that it's been stretched and deformed, but the most important part of it is that the strongest signals and the deep signals have not been drilled, and that represents a great opportunity for us and our shareholders. And drilling of that target is part of our winter 2010 program, and it's one of the reasons we're raising money now. Is another look at the same data, quite compelling. What you see with those inverted red triangles is the proposed drill holes based on the geophysics. This is essentially the plan we intend to execute. We're contracting a drill. We're looking at a winter program commencing in January. We've already started preparing the infrastructure and the ice. Slide 8 is a discussion of the Bearhead Lake trend, and this is options to acquire 100% and options to joint venture with companies such as Confederation Minerals, RPT Uranium, and some property vendors up there, some prospectors that have brought together the rest of the land. We like this package because it has been the subject of 42,000 feet of historic drilling, some very impressive historic results, some of which are published, some of which are unpublished. 30 kilometers mineralization along a major structure with strong values in uranium, moly, and rare earth elements. Sometimes they come together, sometimes they come in separate zones. We've done a systematic program of mapping, sampling, geochemistry in the summer, and our winter program consists of diamond drilling follow-up on what we feel are the key targets based on the surface work and the historic intercepts. The risk factors in this property are quite low because we're following up on existing drill holes. And the only thing that's really new is that in our MMI studies, we recognize substantial increases in heavy rare earth elements around some of the uranium zones, and we think that will factor into expanding the targets into something of economic importance. Slide number 9 is an overview of some of the geophysics and the land position along the Bearhead trend. Later on, when we get into a more detailed discussion, of our plans for that project, this will be more important for you. Here's an overview of the Setting Lake Agreement, and what it really says is that we have the right to acquire 100%, that it is historically quite a meaningful project, that we have not verified these resources. In fact, we believe that they represent a fairly small fraction of the opportunity that this deposit holds for us. We also recognize that moly as a commodity is not as attractive as it was a few years ago, and so we're putting more emphasis into some of the other targets. But this doesn't mean that we've abandoned the project. It still remains a very important target and potentially one of the biggest moly deposits in eastern Canada. Slide number 11 is an overview of the geology showing the historic drill patterns. In the red envelope, the area that's the historic resource. In the blue envelope, the area which we know is mineralized, which we'll be drilling to show the full extent of the system. One of our objectives will be to try to find higher grade sections, and the other will be to show the full extent of the system. Our holdings in Guyana have been initially focused on Murdy Mountain, which is a spectacular project in southern Guyana, similar geology to Gross Rosabelle. We recognize the opportunity here to put together something we believe is larger than 3 million ounces. Historically, there are a number of resource estimates which are on the record, and we won't dwell on those now because, frankly, they're only a small part of the system. Our plans are to organize and fund the company for a major drill campaign in the next 6 months, and with the results from that major drill campaign, we believe that we will significantly increase the resource opportunities there, and then we'll do a 43-101 resource calculation. As of this week, we have filed on CDAR a compliance report, 43-101, describing the history, the historic resource estimates, and documenting our plans for development. This will be, if we proceed with our plan of arrangement, our listing property for the new company, which will be called Murdy Gold Corp. In addition to Murdy Mountain, we have the Ptara River licenses, and we have other holdings which have gone into a series of joint ventures. The joint venture partner is a company called Mulgravian Gold Corp. Mulgravian Gold will be renamed and put into a reporting issuer that will form the partnership in the public arena for all of these projects. In Canada, we plan to focus on developing these alpha projects in northern Ontario. We're looking at some other opportunities too. Shoreham Resources will continue as the operator in these projects, and it will maintain its share structure and its listing as it currently exists. The new company, which is called Murdy Gold, will be our vehicle in Guyana. The shareholders of record will receive shares in both companies. We're still working on exactly what the share exchange ratio will be, but there will be no change of interest. The shareholders will own afterwards what they owned before. But this allows us to focus investor attention, if they like Guyana, on Guyana, and it also allows us to focus the benefits of the transactions in Guyana into that milieu. So the combination of alluvial operations, joint ventures, and discovery gives us a very exciting plan in Guyana. We have, obviously, a lot of work to do to show the investors where we're going on some of these projects, and we're going to go through the beginning stages of that right now. The most important recent developments are that Rexma, our alluvial production partners, have informed us that they intend to proceed. They've begun importing equipment. We have given them a delay, an extension on their original November deadline as a result of the process of getting environmental impact permits and community benefits agreements. This is working well. We're on track for initial production in the first quarter of 2010. The initial cash flow from that will be encouraging, but it won't change our lives that much. Within a few years, we expect very substantial cash flow, especially at prevailing gold prices. This slide shows us the location of our major project packages in Guyana. You can see that there are 3 clusters of assets. In the south, we have the Murdy Paint Mountain assets, which are stratigraphically, we think, related to the Gross Rosabelle district in Suriname, which I think at this time is the most important gold district in that part of South America. This is a good indication of what we expect from the Murdy Mountain project. We have some holdings that we call Ptara Maple Creek. They're in the area of Olmai, and we're probably going to put those into a joint venture, so we won't spend very much time talking about them. I will present you with some of the technical results from our work there to date. And in northern and northwestern Guyana, we have a large and increasing portfolio of holdings that are mostly being put into joint ventures. And that joint venture model, that generative model, has been one of the important aspects of our reorganization and our growth in the last year. Mulgravian